So the title for today's video is what does a UFC fighter do after losing 2 title shots? And the reason why I want to do a video on this is because I think similar to a video I did a few weeks ago titled what does a long-reigning champion do after losing their belt? It's just an interesting position to be in, both of those, and I'm going to explain why in this video. And the reason I'm saying 2 title shots and not just 1 is because if you get 1 title shot, it's not that unlikely that you can get another, especially if the fight is close. So yeah, it's not completely out of the picture. You can still keep winning and working towards another title shot, but after you lose 2 or more, it's kind of a different story. It's a lot more unlikely that you'll get a third title shot, or if you get a third, it's unlikely that you get a fourth. The amount of times you lose decreases the amount of chances you'll get, obviously, right? And yeah, but this is because of a bunch of reasons. So obviously, you lost twice, title shots don't come easy, other contenders need their chance, etc. But as we know, there are some people who get special treatment because they sell pay-per-views. So the UFC will be more lenient with those certain people and give them more than 1 title shot, or 2, or 3. So yeah, today we're going to look at some fighters who have gotten 2 title shots, lost them both, and see how they went about their career after, and how these guys should go about their career, what I think. We'll see if some careers went up, some went down, and just what direction they went in general. Because I can imagine it can be very easy to lose direction when you're in this position, because the whole goal of being a UFC fighter is to become the champ. It's the main goal of the sport. For at least 99% of fighters, that's where you want to get to. But when you lose 2 of those attempts and you realize you may not get a chance at this ever again, then what do you do? So that's what we're going to look into today. And I'm going to go over just a list of fighters here that have gotten 2 or more title shots, and just go over all their careers. So let's start it. First, we're going to look at a unique one, and that's Max Holloway. And it's unique because Max fought the same guy 3 times in title fights and lost them all. Obviously, Volk is the guy. And the first time, Max was champ, so it wasn't a title shot. He was defending the belt. Because when I say title shot, I'm referring to challenging for the belt, right? So he lost the belt to Volk, and it was close, so they made the rematch. Volk won again. But again, it was close. So later down the line, they made another fight between the two, and Volk won that fair and square, the third one. And that put Max in a tough spot because he was still beating everyone else in the division, but he just couldn't beat Volk. So he was basically just defending his number 1 contender spot for a while. And as we now see, he's going to be moving up in weight to fight Gaethje, because he didn't have anywhere to really go in the division at the time. That was until Poirier took the belt, which is the best thing that can happen for guys like this, because when it's a new guy who has the belt, who they've never lost to as a champ, the door opens way more. But Holloway was already booked for the fight with Gaethje before the Poirier versus Volk fight took place. So if he knew the result of that before, I don't think he would have moved up and fought Gaethje, because he would be the one that's most likely to be the next challenger for Poirier if he didn't have a fight booked right now. And now he probably won't, since he's already booked. But that's where it gets tricky, because rankings kind of start to not apply when you've already lost twice. For example, Yair and Ortega both got title shots even though Holloway beat them both. And that's just because Holloway already lost twice or 3 times. But that's just what happens. The division has to kind of move on, and that's what happened in Holloway's career. He kind of waited around, kept winning, and then as soon as he finally decided to move up, the belt changes hands. So it's pretty unlucky. But I still do think he has a bright future, and he can still win a belt in featherweight for sure. The next guy is Dustin Poirier, and his situation is definitely different from Holloway's because he lost the title shot, but to 2 different guys, not the same guy, which is the more normal scenario, is what usually happens. Because it's unlikely that you lose a title fight to someone and then you get a rematch with the same person unless it's a really, really close fight. It doesn't happen that often. So Khabib and Oliveira are the ones that beat him. And now Islam has the belt, so he's not out of the picture to get a 3rd title shot at all. It looked like for a while that he wasn't really chasing the title anymore, because it was unlikely he was going to get another shot. Like he was taking the Conor money fights over the title fight with Oliveira, but then he still ended up getting that fight because he beat Conor. And yeah, he lost that. And then he kind of took some fan-friendly fights, that crazy one with Chandler that he won and almost lost. And then he got knocked out by Gaethje. And after that, it was looking like he would never get a title shot again. But then he got that huge win over Benoit Saint Denis. And all the other contenders are kind of booked up right now, so he might just get another title shot. And sometimes that's just how it works. If you can just hang near the top, at some point it might become open. So that's what happened with Poirier. Wasn't really looking good for him for a while, but now it is, so good for him. he could definitely get a shot. Now, going off of that, let's talk about Justin Gaethje, who's had a very similar career. Lost to Khabib and Oliveira, and then similar to Poirier, just kind of hovered around the top. Still taking the toughest fights he can. And he's somebody who obviously does still want the title, but he does just love to put on crazy fights for the fans. So after he lost those title fights, he probably wasn't even contemplating anything. He always wants to fight, no matter what, even if he's not getting the shots. And after his second title loss to Oliveira, he took a year off and then fought a tough contender in Rafael Fiziev and got a huge win. And then after that, he knocked out Poirier. So in my eyes, he deserves the title shot right now. But he decided to fight Holloway in a fan-friendly fight again. If he wins that, then he definitely deserves it even more. So yeah, it's gone well for him after losing 2 title shots. And it looks like he might get a third as well. Robert Whittaker is the next one on the list. He lost 2 title shots to Izzy. The first was a knockout loss. The second was a lot closer. And similar to Max, Whittaker stayed at the top of the division, as well as Adesanya. So for a while, it was those two who were above everyone else. But then more recently, the division opened up more. Now Whittaker is in a position where the belt has changed hands, but Whittaker already lost to the guy who has the belt before he even got the belt, and that's DDP. So Whittaker, again, is kind of in a tough spot. He got that big win over Paulo Costa, but it's hard to justify giving him a rematch with DDP as of right now. He'll most likely have to get a few more wins. So even though he has the skill to become champ again in my eyes, also in my eyes, it's pretty unlikely that Whittaker will be champ again or even get a shot. Who knows? Next guy is someone who might have gotten the most favoritism from the UFC when it comes to title shots. And as we all know, that's Colby Covington. He's never been champion and he's gotten 3 title shots. Lost them all. First title shot he definitely deserved. He was on a huge winning streak. And he got that in 2019. Lost to Usman. After that loss, a year later, he fought like 40-year-old Tyron Woodley, who was way past his prime. Beat him, sat out a year, and then got a rematch with Usman because of that. Lost that again. About half a year later, he fights Jorge Masvidal, past his prime again, wins, sits out a year and a half this time, comes back, fights Leon for the belt, loses. So yeah, pretty crazy. The only title shot he really deserved was the first one. After that, it's just straight up UFC favoritism towards him. After his loss to Leon, everyone was hating on him and saying his career's over and he has nowhere to go. And that's kind of how I felt. It's kind of how I still feel. But now he's calling out Ian Gary, who everybody hates even more than Colby. So now people are starting to like Colby again. He's getting on people's good side again, just because how much people hate Ian Gary. But yeah, that's probably the smartest route for him. Just fight guys that are going to talk shit back and cause a huge ruckus. It worked with Masvidal. He was able to headline a card without a title fight just because of the rivalry with Masvidal. Yeah, there should be no way he gets another title shot, but never say never when it's Colby. Yeah, I think he should probably just give up on the title dreams and just take fun fights and do his thing, cause a ruckus, talk some shit like he does, and make it interesting. And that is the direction I do see him going. I don't think he has much else. Now, going off that, let's talk about Kamaru Usman. He's somebody that was champion for a long time, obviously beat Colby twice, as I mentioned. But now at this point in his career, he's lost twice to Leon. And it happened pretty quick. You know, you get a long title reign like that, and then all of a sudden, he lost twice to the new champ. And it's a bit sad for him because he was so close to beating Leon the first time, and none of this ever would have even happened if he beat him. But it did. So I like the move up to middleweight for Kamaru. I really hope he stays there. I don't know if that was just a one-fight thing or if it's a permanent thing, but I hope he does stay there because I think he can make some noise at middleweight. He could also just retire, and I'm not saying that as an insult, like he should, but he could if he wants. He's already accomplished everything in the sport. He was one of the best welterweights of all time. He doesn't need to prove anything else, and I know his body's pretty beat up at this point too, but he can do whatever he wants. But I hope he does stay at middleweight and make one last run. That would be something special to see. Last one on the list, we have Brian Ortega. He's someone that's also lost to two different guys, and it was in a wide time difference. It's not completely crazy. This one's pretty normal. But similar to Colby, he doesn't fight that much, and he definitely gets a little extra push from the UFC. He lost to Max on his first winning streak when he was coming up, and then he took a lot of time off, came back, fought Korean Zombie, won that, and then that earned him a title shot against Volk. and then he lost that. So it sounds pretty bad, but now he's in a position where the belt's changed hands again, and he's coming off a big win to Yair. So he's definitely not in a bad position at all right now. A lot of the featherweight division is booked up, so he doesn't have a bad chance to get that next shot. So he's in a favorable position for sure. But I don't think he'll beat Poirier at all. It's a tough task for him. But good luck to him. I'd like to see him succeed.